We do have a banker as well, so we'll see that at the end in yellow. So it's Napoli -215. Oh, nerves are off the charts with this team at the moment. Giving up or -1.5 goals at +120, over 3.5 goals in the game at +110. That's a very, very high market starting at 3.5. Sassuolo at +525. Mina, this Napoli side, we did say that they get so nervous in front of their own crowd. They get so nervous when they're in front. What are they doing to themselves?
Oh, I know, it was really tragic. And actually, Empoli had managed to win in the reverse fixture. So maybe that was something to look at, because Empoli really, we forget, but their coach, Andrea Azzoli, used to be the assistant coach to Spalletti. So he knows him very well and understood how to get back into the match, remain patient. What I think was interesting was it was a very attacking Napoli. And I feel like, I didn't understand how they hadn't conceded a goal. And then the 80th minute, it was bam. And we know what happens when they concede one. They quickly concede eventually when they feel under pressure. But that has had huge consequences on the team, because after that, the president came out and said, right, they're going to a training retreat. It's like a punitive form of forcing them to all stay together in a hotel for the rest of the season, is something that he threatened at the time, because he wanted them to fight the Napoli way. Eventually, he has since softened his stance and said that they can go home and visit their families, but they must all come back for dinner. So it's become outrageous right now. They're being treated like kids, and I don't know whether this is going to have a happy ending right now, because can you really work under this level of pressure? So I'm interested to see what they do against Sassuolo.
Only in Italy can this come out and probably be a positive. Because I've had friends obviously played like Sampdoria in Trevor Francis and Graham Souness, and Des Walker was over there. And this is normal, isn't it? This is normal for them to go away in a training camp. Maybe they have a bad defeat on a Saturday. They go and meet up Sunday night. They won't see their families. They'll be banged. They'll be locked down. And it will just be focused on that next game. The problem I have, Matty, with Napoli is that they are being treated like kids, because they're playing like kids. There's not a leader. They've got such good individuals when they're on their day, but there's no leader. And there's too many players there, for me, that don't deserve to even wear a Napoli shirt. They're not good enough.
Yeah, and to me, I agree with that. And I don't really trust Napoli. And the numbers that really stick out to me here, over 2.5 grades out at 62%, but both teams to score actually grades out at 65%, which is really high. Even head-to-head, they have really good numbers for this. Both teams to score hitting in 61%. Last two meetings were 2-2 and 3-3. Napoli has allowed at least one goal in 9 of their last 10 games at home. So I definitely like Sassuolo to score in this game. I don't think that this is going to be a 2-0 game. In fact, actually, Sassuolo have scored over 1.5 goals in 65% of their road matches, while Napoli has only scored over 1.5 goals in 53% of those. On the flip side, Sassuolo allowing over 1.5 and 60% on the road. Napoli only allowing over 1.5 and 13%, but they've conceded in over 70%. And like I said, 9 of the last 10 games at home. So I think what I'm looking for in this game is actually both teams to score in over 2.5. Even though the total for this game is at 3.5, both teams to score and over 2.5 is really playable. It's -125. And so that's kind of how I lean in this game. I think you're onto something here with the under 3.5, because it does grade out pretty low. It only grades out at 42%. It actually only grades out at 24% for Napoli. So I think we probably see a 2-1 game. Either side could win this one, in my opinion. I don't think Napoli score 3 goals. I kind of lean their team total under 2.5, but I definitely like Sassuolo to get a goal in this game.
Mina, we've got to make sure that we have the under on our side, because Napoli go 1-0 up like they did 2 weeks ago. They didn't even bother going, and this is a difference between Napoli at home and Napoli away. We saw Napoli away last week. They threw caution to the boom. We'll go and play. We'll just go and enjoy themselves until obviously something goes amiss, and then they crumble like a house of cards. But at home, they tremble. They like this. Oh, don't want to make a mistake. And when you're not making a mistake, you're too careful. Then that means you're not penetrating the opposition's defence. And this opposition defence wants to be penetrated. It's like, no, it's not good at all. But you can't trust Napoli to go looking because they need the point so desperately.
Yeah, this is I'm worried about this game because I really did want to look at something that I could get into this. And I thought of both teams scoring in over 2.5 goals, but Sassuolo don't have that much to really play for at the moment. And they did play on Monday, and I feel like they were a little bit downhearted after that loss to Juventus. There has been 2-0 victories, and what makes me think, when I think about what the result would be, I can't really see more than a 1-1, and that was the only thing that scared me about going over 2.5. But it's also very feasible that this could be a 5-4 or a 4-3, because these are sides that sometimes really go for it when they're feeling confident. Overall, there's been 3 draws between the sides, so in the last 6 matches, and that is another thing that worries me as well. But if you go with both teams to score, then you're pretty much, I feel like, on the safe side of this. But Napoli, you're right about this. At home, they feel the pressure from their own fans, and that's when everything starts to fall away. And I do feel like it's interesting because 5,000 of their fans had traveled up to watch them play Empoli. And I feel like that caused them even more pressure because we know what happens. They reached the 80th minute and it was a capitulation.
Yeah, they basically just folded. They just lost any time. And so Michael Makeda's in there saying, let me just go to it. Yeah, Napoli are solid at the back. Koulibaly is basically a brick wall. But he has basically you need front screens. You need midfielders to go with runners. There's not enough.
Last week, they only had him as any form of defensive player there, because it was Mertens and Osimhen and Insigne and Fabian Ruiz, and you're just left with Anguissa and a back line that was shoddy at best last week. So yeah. I think that it's important to have Anguissa, it's important to have Koulibaly, but you also need players that work a lot harder than they did in that match, which was so disappointing.
Well, I think we're going to be very happy if Napoli or Sassuolo win 2-1, because we look at the official picks and I just, the number jumped off the page at me. Under 3.5 goals at -130 is not my normal price, but it's just jumped out. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at -125 looks very popular as well.